Is Captain America Brave New World worthy of the shield? Welcome to Retcon. So, if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, Captain America 4 Brave New World entered theaters this weekend. I got a chance to see it Thursday at about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I think you just saw it yesterday, right?
Yeah, around Valentine's Day, me and the missus. I think it started at 1:50. It was actually running late, but yep.
Okay. Yeah, so we just wanted to do a quick review. Now we are gonna have some spoilers. Spoiler
Yep.
alert. So if you have not seen the movie, please close your ears. We'll put up some kind of alert to let you know. But as I like to say with these reviews, um, what did you think?
Okay. So whenever I'm watching movies, the the worst possible movie that I've ever seen, worst superhero movie, at the totem pole, not the actress, but the movie itself, is Catwoman. Okay. I did not like Catwoman, the movie as a whole. Halle Berry is phenomenal, but Catwoman. That's how I gauge a movie. Is it as worse? Is it Catwoman horrible? Right? So it's not Catwoman horrible. And then I have the movie Avengers Infinity War at number 9, and then I have Captain America Winter Soldier at number 10. That's the highest, right? So to me, Captain America Brave New World, it falls slightly in the middle, probably at a 6. So
Mm.
was decent, um, but it was it was very predictable, and I believe nothing new came out of that movie at all. And it feels like the majority of what we see in the movie is literally what we've seen in all the trailers that they put out to promote this thing and market this thing. So my overall, before we get into the details, my overall is giving it a 6. How you
Mm.
feel? But
You know what's funny? So you texted me and asked me what I thought about the movie.
yeah.
I said I didn't like it.
You did. You did.
And then you said it was decent.
Yeah.
And so this is what's gonna be funny. You gave it a 6. I gave it like a 7.2
But how is that? What?
because
That's crazy. Okay.
I it is weird, but to me, they had ideas in the movie that should have been a good movie. So there were things that I liked about it. I
Yeah,
really liked about it.
yeah.
But it's just the things that I didn't like about it, I hated.
Okay.
So, um, I
So you
didn't think it was
there like more than things that you hated?
no, the things that I hated, I just absolutely hated. But if I turn my brain off and you say, because you said you use Catwoman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, which is awful. But there's only been one movie that Marvel has put out during this MCU run that I
Yeah.
walked out of, and that
Mm-hmm.
was Shang-Chi.
Ooh, ouch.
I
Mm,
walked out,
ouch.
and this movie was nowhere near me wanting to walk out of it. And there were points that I really enjoyed myself, and visuals were good. I thought
Mm.
uh, Anthony Mackie did a great job carrying
Oh,
this movie.
absolutely.
And there were ideas that I thought when I walked out of the movie, the thing that really I was more disappointed than I thought the movie was horrible because I was like, man, there was a good movie in there, and
Mm-hmm.
the story that they could have told, they for some reason just didn't tell.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I actually thought about going to see it again just to kind of have a definitive
Wow.
idea of what I really feel about it. But I gave it about a 7, 7.2.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna wait till it comes on Disney Plus to see it. Yeah, the only superhero movie I can count on one hand that I've seen at least more than once was Avengers Infinity War. Now, Captain America Winter Soldier, I've seen that 3 times in the movie theaters. Like, I'm just gonna keep it real. And then moving out of Marvel to DC, The Dark Knight, I've seen that 4 times in the movie
Yeah.
theater. So, I haven't had during this multiverse saga of the MCU films, there hasn't been a Marvel film that I have yet to see twice, except for Spider-Man No Way Home. I did
Mm-hmm.
see. And that's not the disc Guardians of the Galaxy or Deadpool or Wolverine. Oh, I need to correct myself. I saw Deadpool and Wolverine twice. Never mind. Okay. I did. I think it was different family members. No. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place, y'all. It is only Spider-Man No Way Home I saw twice. Captain America Brave New World, I won't see twice in a movie theater. I gave it a 6 because, well, for starters, well, let me talk about so if we can, we'll talk about what we like together, and then we'll talk about what we didn't like together. So what I liked was, like you said, Anthony Mackie. I love his presence as Captain America. I love that people are giving him respect as Captain America. He earns those stars and stripes. I love the fight sequences and the multiple ways he's using that shield. Like I think
Yeah.
I saw point there was a scene, I think maybe it was in Camp Echo 1, uh, where they were going up against the brainwashed soldiers, and he like kicked the shield and it bounced off and hit some of them soldiers, and he grabbed it. I like, that's pretty dope. I also thought about the dude ain't got no super soldier serum, so my mind goes there, right? And
Yeah.
like to handle that shield, it takes a lot of stamina and grit, because then you got to get a hold of them handles just at the right time. Otherwise, you can end up shattering your hand and your arm. And I love in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier how we saw that it didn't come that easy to Anthony Mackie's Sam. He had to train with that thing. Whereas you got Steve Rogers, who it kind of came natural to him.
Mm-hmm.
He about all of that because he had the super soldier serum. So the fact that he's able to wield that shield in so many different ways without any superhuman strength, it really speaks to volumes to how he's handling that Captain America mantle. So I love the mess out of that. I loved Carl Lumbly as Isaiah. That whole beginning, that really that now that see, and I think maybe that, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think that maybe what you're talking about, one of those points where the movie had a story, it had
Yeah.
the, because bro, like you're thinking about, this dude has been played and he's going back where he doesn't, like the dude spent 30 years already in prison, and then I thought they throwing him back, and it was kind of, it touched my heart where he was breaking down, and as
Mm-hmm.
Sam, like, I'm gonna get you out, like, okay, bet, let's get the steam going, yes, let's do
Yeah.
this, we have a high stake situation here. And I like the partnership between him and Joaquin Torres. Joaquin Torres, the Falcon. It just played again. It was good to see that, because Captain America plays better when he has a road dog, if you will. He always had one, whether it was Bucky or it was Falcon. Um, in the comic book, sometimes it was a reformed supervillain named Diamondback, which Steve smashed anyway. But he plays good with off of other characters. And I love Juan Carlo Esposito's Sidewinder. You know, I mean, I don't think there's been a role that he's ever played that I never not liked. Like he's pretty much a phenomenal actor. And Harrison Ford, he did good with what he had, as far as playing the Thunderbolt Ross um, character, and he kind of still imposed the same type of presence that the former actor who passed away that played Thaddeus did. So it was pretty much a smooth transition. I love how they played the joke about, I had to save the mustache. It was either lose the mustache or lose the election. I thought it was good. And I was excited that they introduced adamantium, so we got that. So that's probably the mutant nod. Of course, that Marvel has been doing during the multiverse saga, dropping subtle Marvel mutant hints here and there, littered throughout their movies, which is building up to, of course, the X-Men finally showing up in the MCU, right? Like full MCU, not just an MCU movie, but it takes place in a different Earth and not the sacred timeline, but I mean in the timeline. So that's what I like. So what were the elements that you liked about it?
Yeah, I agree. I think again, Anthony Mackie did his thing. I think that the movie did a good job of positioning him as, all right, this is Captain America, right? Because even to the point that you made, I think they needed Falcon in this movie to make sure that you saw Anthony Mackie as Captain America.
Right.
Um, I like the fact that um, the movie itself, it touched on some things. You talked about Isaiah and what that would do to him. Like we kind of saw it in Falcon and Winter Soldier. They explored kind of who he was and how he was and how he felt about the events. And once you get to this movie, I love that he was an integral part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue, like you said, some of the stuff where they had the storyline, they kind of got off of it. I don't think that it was as impactful as it could have been, but I do like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, they made sure, as you said, in separating Sam Wilson and Steve Rogers. I mean, Thunderbolt even said at some point, "You're not Steve Rogers."
Mm-hmm.
Now they removed the line that was in the trailer where Falcon says, "You're right, I'm not."
I did not like that.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. I didn't like that either. But he wasn't. He didn't fight like Steve. He didn't really do anything like Steve. His sensibilities weren't the same as Steve Rogers. It took Steve Rogers a long time to start to question the government. You know what I mean? We kind of saw it, him breaking a little bit when we got to the first Avengers movie. But it wasn't until Winter Soldier where he really started that distrust. But I also listen, clearly Cap has issues with Thunderbolt, but he was willing to put it aside. Hey, he's the president. I'm willing to put it aside. Let's work with each other and get this figured out. Um, I got a slightly different opinion about Juan Esposito.
Oh, okay.
Um, so I guess we pretty much agree. So I'll kind of get into the stuff that I didn't like.
Yeah, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Jump it
I'll
off.
start with him.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Dude is 70 years old, man.
I mean,
And you could tell. And when they were fighting, I was like, man, he's a 70-year-old dude. Even the way he was holding the gun bothered me.
the way he was holding the gun, I didn't even
It
pay attention.
was it was horrible, bro. And really, there was a large chunk of the first and second act of the movie that was, especially the first act, that was Winter Soldier. Beat by
Yeah,
beat, it was Winter Soldier.
you get out my head. Get out my head.
And I was like, man, I know that you want to invoke that serious
Mm-hmm.
spy thriller thing that you had in Winter Soldier,
Mm-hmm.
but I just didn't want a retread of a story that I've already seen. It didn't endear me to the movie. It actually made me kind of like, man, why can't we just do our own thing? So that bothered me.
Right, right.
The Isaiah storyline, it was right there. It was right there. Like if the movie really wanted to go deep,
Mm-hmm.
it could have been. And I know they touched on it in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but if you haven't seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you don't actually know those stories.
Lost.
Like, yeah, you would be lost. And this guy is he's not a forgotten Captain America. He's a thrown away Captain America,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
He's a Cap that they didn't want you to know about, that they didn't want to be Cap. And
Right.
it's like
And
him
lost something to do with that.
and Thunderbolt had something to do with it. And as much as I like Falcon, well, I'm calling him Falcon, Sam Wilson being like, hey, you're the president, he's the president, I gotta be with him on this. There
Mm-hmm.
was just no friction about any of that stuff. There was
Mm-hmm.
none. There was no friction whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Even the only friction we got is when he went to invite Isaiah to the White House. At first he was like, "Nah, I'm not going."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? And it was like, okay, whatever. I mean, even to the point where they spoiler alert, but we
Right,
find out that it was the flashes on the phone that would trigger these people to do the things.
right, 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 right.
But Isaiah had a reason to do it, and it was just thrown away.
Right. He didn't need a flash necessarily. It could have just took the right type of. So you think about the leader, right? The leader is hyper intelligent. So
Yeah,
they displayed, which is something I didn't like. They displayed all these probabilities. Like he knows how to read probabilities, and he can do predictions. Like why didn't he just apply that into Isaiah's logic? Like, listen, Ross did all of this to you, and now he's parading. I'm just gonna keep it real. Now he's parading the Black Captain America. Like
yeah,
that's just, like, you know what I'm saying? Why you didn't get that type of love? Like, I mean, that right there would have played gravy when it came to the motivation of why he going after Thunderbolt Ross like he did. Okay, everybody was brainwashed except Isaiah. Isaiah, why would you risk it? Because of that man, like what he did to me. 30 years, they locked me up, experimented on me. like that's good right there. So like you said, I feel like it was a throwaway. Like man, that was ripe. That was ripe.
It
And
was right.
and I don't want to cut you off as you're talking about what you don't like. That really is a segue to what I didn't like because it felt like the Incredible Hulk sequel. You know,
Oh my gosh,
yeah,
bro.
it just like we had everything. They played those scenes from the Incredible Hulk, and it talked about in the beginning how Ross had got in trouble with all of that, yada yada yada, and then he made Samuel Stearns take the blame for it. He held him captive for all of these years. And then once he became president, he pardoned him. And then we saw Betty. Betty showed up. Like, okay, that's cool. And then Ross himself is a Hulk. I mean, it just felt like a sort of sequel to the Incredible Hulk. And was it 2008, right? Or
Yeah,
2009? One of those.
2008.
And I think because of those elements being incorporated into the movie, I mean, even though we got to see Sam as best as we could come into the role as Captain America, but I felt like it could have been more to it had it not tried to play so much off of what took place in 2008 Incredible Hulk. So it felt like it was more their movie than it was Captain America's movie. You know,
Yep. Yep.
I,
Ultimately, by the end of the movie, Thunderbolt Ross was the main character.
right, right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was the main character, man. So yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like even Thunderbolt himself, right? Like because they were shoehorning everything into this movie,
Mm-hmm.
nothing was as impactful as it needed to be. Like Betty Ross, she didn't even really become a thing until the end of the movie, and he just randomly talked about they used to walk in the flowers or something like that, and
Right,
she was a phone call, and she showed up at the end of the movie. It's like, did she matter or not? What
right.
what was his actual motivation? He didn't. Thunderbolt didn't have motivation. He had no motivation whatsoever. And even when they teased Red Hulk, we knew he was Red Hulk. They used Red Hulk in the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
I could have the last 10 minutes.
Right. We didn't get enough Red Hulk. Like we literally saw everything you saw in the trailers. That's literally what happened in the movie as far as Red Hulk. There was no other preamble to him showing up as Red Hulk. We couldn't get no like, okay, there have been some Red Hulk sightings. The government has been keeping it hush hush. That's why you never heard about it, And then that would have been played like, oh, then everybody now realized he's the Red Hulk. No, it was pretty much at the very end. It didn't feel like and then so the leader's motivation was to destroy his legacy. I mean, I guess he winded up in jail. I mean, but it just felt really it didn't have that boom, right?
Nothing.
And getting tired of them doing the sun's real low uh disarming maneuvers on these Hulks, right? I
Yeah.
think that was one of the many grievances I had about Age of Ultron. The sun's getting real low, big guy. I'm like, what? Because I know why they do it, right? So in the comic books, Hulk, Bruce Banner, I mean, there have been moments where he's in a fit of rage and it takes somebody to shock him out of it, right? And usually it's somebody pivotal importance emotionally that's tethered to him. And it usually is Betty. And Betty shows up and then he starts powering down. I'm like, okay. And that's fine. They did that in Incredible Hulk, right? Because there was a scene where, he was throwing rocks at the lightning. And I was like, oh, that's dope. Like the Hulk would be that type of
Yeah.
mindless brute and he can do something about the elements. And then Betty's the one to calm him down. And that's cool, right? I mean, there's a way to do it and there's a cheesy way to do it. And then there's a no nonsense way to do it. And then I
Yeah.
thought, because my whole time watching is like, okay, how is he going to beat this Red Hulk?
Yeah.
Like, Sam, no super soldier serum with the shield and the vibranium suit. How will he defeat the Red Hulk? And so then they, like you said, they kind of played it up that, him and Betty, and they talked about him and Betty being estranged, but then it was more heightened, I guess, at the end when the leader got captured, which I got another complaint about that. The leader got captured, and then the whole speakers was playing the message he had with Ross, what your daughter would be ashamed of you. And then they talked about the lily blossoms or whatever. And then we saw the gratuitous scene that took place in the lily blossoms. And, Sam with his one wing, vibranium charged up, stabs the Hulk and implodes. I was about to be so mad if that's how he got defeated. Like, shut up. The Hulk, no, that didn't, you better not say that, but it didn't. And so here comes the sun's real low moment here where he is talking to Ross, like, think of Betty, da, 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 da. And then he finally powers down. I thought that was a terrible cop out, because like, what? Now, in their defense, in the comic books, the Red Hulk, he was the opposite of Banner. And what it was that whenever he got angrier, he actually was losing control of his power, and then he would power down, because that was supposed to be the opposite of the Hulk. With the Hulk, the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. But Red Hulk, the angrier he gets, the more heated his the gamma radiation in him expels, and then he powers down. So I thought they were going to try to use that, but no, we got the sun's getting real low. Why just not bring Betty at the end, right? Just do that. I mean, if
Or let Betty be more present during the rest of the movie. Like, to me, there were 2 or 3 movies in one. It
yeah,
was obviously Sam Wilson being Captain America and his journey through that. It was the Isaiah storyline that just got ruined, and you had the Thunderbolt Ross storyline. And because they were focusing too much on trying to tell too many stories, like even Sidewinder, what was the point of him?
he was a throwaway like Batroc in Winter Soldier. But the thing about it is, in Winter Soldier, it served a purpose,
Right.
and focused on him as the main villain, which I think that was it was executed masterfully in Winter Soldier. How they made it seem like, okay, this is the bad guy, but no, the organization is the bad guy, right? And then, like you said, it did feel there was definitely Winter Soldier elements that they were trying to incorporate. It's so let's do it side by side, right? So Winter Soldier starts off Captain America going on a mission, going on a boat, saving hostages, and taking down bad guys. And then it leads to, okay, maybe there's something corrupt within the organization. Okay, Captain America, Brave New World, goes to this church, taking down bad guys, recovers something, finds out that it could be something happening within the organization itself. Winter
Yep.
Soldier. Then we have the actual Winter Soldier movie. You got Cap, Black Widow, and Falcon, right? Brave New World, Cap, Falcon, and Saber, who's a ex Black Widow.
Yeah.
You know, that
It's
that.
something, even one Sidewinder, the character.
Oh, yeah, right, right.
They combined Winter Soldier
Mm.
and what's the guy's name Cap fought on the boat?
The what's that now? Oh, yeah, yeah, Batroc, Batroc.
That's right. Yeah, they combined the two of them, which is why it didn't work, because in Winter Soldier, you didn't have to focus on him as a character. They were just setting up the conflict with the government.
Right.
In Cap 4, he was present. He was even okay when Sam is in the truck and Sidewinder attacks him. That was
Mm.
Bucky attacking Nick Fury. It was
Yeah.
the same scene.
Oh man, you're right. You're right on that. You're right. You're right. You're right. It's just
This,
like it was trying to be, like you said, 3 movies in one, right? And it didn't execute properly, you know. And I think if they would just escaped away from trying to follow the blueprint of Winter Soldier, it could have been something that they could call their own.
yeah,
Yeah, and the thing about it is Captain America, he has a good bit of rogues, right? I mean, so it just,
yeah,
again, maybe we didn't need a sequel to the Incredible Hulk, right? We could have maybe played up the Serpent Society just a little bit more. I mean, the Serpent Society is huge, and and plus, who was the big dude that he fought? My mind, and for my comic book fans out there, they'll know the Serpent Society has a lot of members. One is Puff Adder. Puff Adder is like this dude who can puff himself up and get huge with muscles, and he's a mutant, right? So I'm thinking like maybe that's what he's supposed to be, but he ain't. So they didn't do that, and
they dropped the ball.
right, I'm mad at again, of all the odd characters they wanted to play a Black Widow type, they didn't have to use Saber. No diss to the actress herself, but they didn't have to use Saber and then just disregard her comic book ties completely. In the comic book, Saber is a mutant. Now, but I know that there was some controversy and some protest in regards of her character overall being incorporated in the movies, because in the comic book she's a Mossad agent who had a comic book costume that had the Star of David. She had like a headband and then on the chest as well. And so I'm pretty sure that had some reasons. I'm not going to say that I know, because I don't know fully the whole scope of it. I just know that that character sparked some issues, regarding that. But I've all of
Yeah,
all.
specifically, the controversy was there were protests because they thought it was going to be used as pro-Israel propaganda.
Okay. 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 Wow. Okay. Got it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then, yeah, no, for the protest. Got it. And then, I mean, but if you're going to use somebody, I mean, would it hurt
You
to have Yelena? I mean, she's already established a Black Widow type.
and you have Thunderbolts coming.
Great segue. Great segue. That'd have been perfect.
Not only that, I'm gonna tell you another drop segue.
Go ahead.
All right, they set up the movie as the race for the adamantium. No talk of any other mutants, even though you're going to go get this. No talk of a Weapon X program. No talk of any of that stuff.
Right. I'm so upset about that.
What are we doing? As a matter of fact, by the time they end fighting at Celestial Island, that's forgotten. That's over.
Yeah. Done for.
It was too much that they had 3 or 4 storylines and none of them really the storyline. Even if you have the leader brainwash Isaiah, then let him and Cap be on the run while he's trying to prove that he's been brainwashed. And now they got to fight the government, and Thunderbolt is after them.
Right. Now that's a good. Actually, that would have been probably better. To be honest with you, I could see that working out. Right. The whole banner would have been great. And then we kind of got a gratuitous cameo from Bucky, and I'm just like that really didn't have no purpose. I get well, maybe the Thunderbolts, if anything else, to serve as a Thunderbolt segue. He's running for congressman. I saw somebody online make joke of it, like, so he's running for a seat in Congress, but the elections should have already been done if Thunderbolt Ross is already president. Like, oh, dang, you know what? You're right. What running is he doing? Should have been already.
This whole it was so many wasted opportunities. Now, my biggest pet peeve of the entire movie. There's no way Captain America, Sam Wilson, stands a chance against Red Hulk.
My wife said the same thing.
There's no way.
She said the same thing. Even with a vibranium suit?
Bro.
Technically, vibranium is one of the strongest metals. I mean, he couldn't break the shields, and the wings were made of the same material. So no, still no? Okay. I tried.
There's no way. Now, it would have been different. Okay, let's say, for the sake of the movie, that was the logic that they used, right? And that they had to shoehorn that in there because they had to give a reason why he could fight Red Hulk.
Absolutely, yeah.
He, at the very beginning of the fight, he drives him through a building.
Yeah. You're right. Oh, you're right. The White House. Yeah.
Right. He's dead.
Yeah, I guess you. Ooh, okay. Maybe you got a point there. Maybe the rest of his suit was made of vibranium. It absorbs impact. He was okay, right? And he had his helmet. Look, I'm trying hard.
It had to be something. That when I was watching that fight, I was like, that is the thing that made me be like, I can't do this. I can't do this movie. I can't do it, man.
It had the makings. It had some beautiful makings in the beginning, and then it just kind of, so that's why I gave it a 6, because it didn't really, it felt like, so, and I thought about Thor Ragnarok, right? They had the Hulk as a side character, right? And then they had Scar, and everybody in the comic book world know that Scar was the planet Hulk was exiled to. And then where he met his wife, future wife, and then, he ended up being ruler of that planet. And then the ship that Tony Reed and everybody else in the Marvel Illuminati had sent him into, it exploded, killing his wife and an unborn child, which sent Hulk into a fitted rage, which led to World War Hulk. We think about that. But the thing about it is, the director, he made sure that even with the Hulk being there and it's in Scar, it's still a Thor movie. It was a Thor movie. Hela was the primary antagonist. You had Loki, who again Thor plays great off of, and then he made sure that it was a Thor movie. This felt like almost it was again. I can't stress this enough. It felt like a sort of sequel to Incredible Hulk. You Red Hulk, you had Betty Ross, you had the leader who was the antagonist, right? The leader is an enemy of the Hulk. He's not an enemy of Captain America. Now, I know in comic books, sometimes bad guys will be shared amongst others, some with deeper connections than the others, right? Spider-Man and Daredevil, they share Kingpin, but the Kingpin goes harder at Daredevil because it's more personal for them, right? He killed his dad when he was just a low-level enforcer.
Yeah.
And then that speaks more to Daredevil and Kingpin locking heads. Where Kingpin is just a matter of Spider-Man's an annoyance. I don't like this guy. Like, he's always butting in, So I get that part. But the leader has never had that type of established connection between Cap and the Hulk whatsoever. And so I question that. As these movies are coming out, like there's storylines there that could be exposed. But I think one is because they're it's about the arching storyline as Marvel Universe as a whole in the
Yep.
multiverse, right? And whatever's going to come down in the pipeline for the future, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think too, it was also more setting up things that are going to come down in the pipeline, i.e. Thunderbolts, and then further down the mutants, which probably at some point we will see a Weapon X program since adamantium is introduced. But to make it to see Falcon and Winter Soldier felt more like Captain America than Captain America Brave New World.
Yeah.
So I think the movie just, again, but not to take it away, because again, there was good stuff. But yeah, I think they would have just went better off choosing a different villain, or like you said, going off the Isaiah Bradley angle,
Mm-hmm.
as just Hulk related story plots.
Yeah. It to me overall, it felt like they got scared.
Mm,
It felt like at some point they didn't believe that this movie, for whatever reason,
mm-hmm,
would be impactful. And we know, I mean, we talked about some of the controversies.
mm-hmm,
One that everybody talked about was how many reshoots. They basically shot this movie twice. And apparently the storyline that they had first was much more of a Cap centric movie than what
mm-hmm.
they ended up doing, or at least what we got to see in theaters.
Kept that. And then they should
Yeah.
have kept it. It was, yeah, because I mean, and plus, I mean, I be seeing how much they marketed the mess out of this and promoted toys, like, hey, y'all, look, it's a red Hulk, that'll probably sell fast in the toy stores. And then I didn't understand the costume change. I read though that Anthony Mackie, he didn't want to do the cowl like he did in Falcon and Winter Soldier because it was really uncomfortable for him. And I'm like, okay, well, cool, you still keep the white suit. I mean, that's dope, because I was a fan of the white suit. But
Mhm.
then, no rhyme or reason, he switched to the more traditional all-American suit, blue, like the flag, just kind of like Steve's. With the Winter Soldier, it started off with Steve wearing the super soldier suit because he was a government agent, basically. Then when he found out what was going on with Shield, he ditched it, and we saw him in his civilian clothes, which is good, right? And then as we getting further to the storyline, when it comes to the end where they got to do the final battle between the Hydra compromised Shield and Bucky, he's like, Sam's like, "Where you going? You going to war? You got to wear a uniform," and that made sense. And why
Yeah.
he Avenger suit again. Great. But for this, we didn't really get no rhyme or reason to this. See, this is me nitpicking, because I wanted to make sense. Like, it didn't make sense for the costume change unless it was just a matter of, I got to make Captain America my own. You already did with the white costume, the white
You're
Captain.
already, yeah. Right.
Uh, get
Right.
it?
Now, if they would have said, I gotta go fight Red Hulk, let me get this vibranium suit.
Right, right.
It was just I just feel like there were decisions made in this movie that they started out with good ideas. They just didn't do a good job of executing. And again, there were just too many storylines
Yeah,
for
it
it.
just,
It just
and
didn't.
then for me, the last thing I'll talk about is the post credit scenes. There weren't any good post credit scenes. Like, Ross talked about starting the Avengers. A post credit scene would have been like, we can do it without the government. So let me go to the database and see who can I pick to start up the new Avengers. And then, because they do it in comic books a lot, whenever there's a new Avenger lineup, it'll have like multiple Marvel characters on the cover page, and then it'll be like, who will be the next Avenger, and then it leaves you chomping at the bits, like, okay, I wonder who he chose, right? And then but all we got was him going back to the raft, visiting the leader, and then the leader, he talking about, oh, there's other worlds out there, what I'm saying, how can you defend yours from that one? And then, of course, again, it was about servicing the future projects down the pipeline, which is of course Avengers: Secret Wars. So I like, man, the movie dropped the ball on so many levels.
So many, or why not introduce the Thunderbolts?
I was really hoping that they were going to ask, or they were somehow to some capacity Thaddeus was going to be coming to the Thunderbolt fold, because he actually, in the comic books, when they relaunched Thunderbolts, he was running it, and he was recruiting people like Deadpool, Elektra, Punisher, and Venom. And I was like, okay, because I mean, it says it in his name, Thunderbolt.
Thunderbolts, yeah,
This opportunity there.
And the Thunderbolts comes out in May.
Right.
Fantastic Four doesn't come out until July.
Right, which I believe is supposed to be the start of Phase 6, the final phase for the Multiverse Saga.
Right.
So,
which they're speedballing through, because what is it? What's Avengers? Doomsday comes out next year.
It does. We're gonna see. It feels like Marvel is so from what, and let me know if you agree, to almost like kind of wrap it up in the bow. So it seems like Marvel is still on that same type of lukewarm run with this saga, right? So a few movies that are okay, not so great, and then they'll spitball a movie that does great. So it's almost for every 2 to 3 movies that don't do good, or whether it's critical or whether it's audience scored, they'll pop up a movie that blows everything out the water. Does that sound fair? Does that sound fair to say that Captain America: Brave New World unfortunately falls as one of these movies that was in the MCU's run?
Yeah, certainly, man. And I'm gonna be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I would disagree with you only based on this.
Okay.
They were fortunate that Deadpool and Wolverine came around.
Okay.
If you take Deadpool and Wolverine out of there's not many good movies since Endgame, really.
I know you're not, because I know you, and we argue to this a bit, where you don't include Spider-Man: No Way Home.
No, I include Spider-Man: No Way Home. I just think it was less of a good movie and more of an experience. I think it was a great experience. I just don't think the movie itself was a good movie.
Right. Gotcha.
But
I do agree with
yeah.
you. Yeah, because it's I don't know what it is. I think it's because to me, as a fan, what we loved about Infinity War is that the first few movies in the first phase, it was building up to Avengers, and everything was Avenger centric at that point, leading up to the battle with Thanos. And it also is there ain't been consistency with the main bad guy. We had Kang, who was going to be centered as the main bad guy. Then things changed, and now is Robert Downey to draw people back in. And now there's rumors that Chris Evans is coming back. Don't know what act, but I think they're just trying to salvage this saga, as best as they can. But unfortunately, Captain America: Brave New World, it does not fall in one of the phenomenal standout movies, unfortunately, in the saga. I mean, it's okay, and it's not horrible.
Okay.
It just didn't do it for me. I'm gonna wait to Disney Plus for it to come out to see it again.
Me too. And I know we didn't talk about this, and we don't have to talk about it, but the leader was trash.
Man, listen, I was so upset, and I'm gonna tell you why. First of all, I saw online that he was wearing like a trench coat and he had like a hat on. And I thought, okay, that's actually pretty cool. It's pretty subtle, but I mean, his skin was green, and then his forehead protruded a little bit. I'm like, okay, good, yeah. And then when I see the final product, dude, what you look crazy. I'm gonna tell you, he reminded me of there was an Immortal Hulk comic book run, and the leader was very horrifically disfigured in this one. And I thought, okay, that's probably where they're drawing it from, but honestly, it didn't translate to me. But no, it was terrible. I didn't like that. And he's too smart to for some of the things that happened to him, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm so mad. Like, his brain was supposed to be a little bit bigger. And I think I read that the actor who plays him has stated that he kind of wanted that, and he didn't want any type of necessarily support, because he wanted to he wanted to emulate what the leader has to go through, like to carry that type of weight of his head, as he walks around. Like in some comics, the dude got a neck brace supporting his brain because it's so large. But
Yeah.
he, yeah, he was disappointing. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
he was terrible, man. And for him to be so smart and so like the leader can basically see the future just based off of his ability to kind of parse out through probabilities, right?
Yes,
He, he didn't know this was gonna happen.
right. Sam Wilson was Captain America was a unknown variable. That, and that was tough because in the comic books the Hulk is the ultimate unknown variable, because as much as he tries to predict what the Hulk will do, sometimes you can't predict it because the Hulk is unpredictable.
Yeah,
He out at moments that you don't expect. He'll do that, and then that's why that dynamic is so great. Gamma radiation made Banner stronger, and gamma radiation made Leader smarter. So it's always brains versus bronze in that aspect, and you don't have that same type of uh, of rivalry in Captain America, because Sam isn't super strong, and I'm not dissing him, but he isn't super smart either.
right.
So it missed again. If it wasn't like they they must have some plans for the Red Hulk that we don't know about, because
They
honestly, we could have done without the whole sort of sequel Incredible Hulk movie. We could have just had they had Adamantium in play, they had Isaiah in play, and they had Sidewinder, which is the Serpent Society. You really could have just used all of that and
yeah,
then make it a good movie. But yeah, that
yeah. No, it was not. Now that we've talked, I'm down to a 6.
okay.
I'm down to a 6, man. This movie just wasn't it. It was a disappointment. But hey, as always, in the comments below, tell us what you think. Do you disagree with us? Let us know why. Granted, we do agree that Sam Wilson is a great Captain America played by Anthony Mackie, but to us, the movie just didn't hold up. So if you have not, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when Retcon Comics uploads a brand new video. For Josh, I'm Trey. This is Retcon Comics. God bless. Yeah, bro. That movie sucks.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely a 6.